All right, it's fair to say that those two are not politically on the same page, but on this central issue about losing our core as a Judeo-Christian nation, as a Judeo-Christian Western power, do they make a point? Is this move toward multiculturalism and away from Judeo-Christian values fueling the ISIS problems we're seeing? Let's ask Father Robert Sirico and Captain Chuck Nash. Father, what do you think?
Yeah, I think when you create a vacuum, something's got to fill it, especially with young men who are seeking for idealism. When they don't anymore have the idealism of the Judeo-Christian culture, they're going to seek for some other absolutes, and sometimes those absolutes, as we're seeing, are quite destructive.
Captain?
Neil, when I was a young lad and I was in school, we were taught that America was the great melting pot. That when you came here, you became as one, you became an American. And then we shifted at some point, I believe it was in the 70s, to start calling it the salad bowl concept, where it was all of the various parts, each distinct, that made up the great salad. Well, the military continues to run the melting pot, i.e., find those things, the common values, the common language, the common accepted behavior that all shall do. And that's why the military is the last meritocracy in this country. So when you give up on that and you start accentuating differences, it doesn't bode well.
Father, the argument for moving away from being a Christian-based nation, as to quote the niece of Martin Luther King, is that you want to allow more in and a more open mind to these other points of view. She rejected that, so did Ms. Farage. But what do you think of that?
Well, I think that this notion of Judeo-Christian culture as being intolerant is completely fallacious. If you want an inclusive culture, then you want that kind of culture that recognizes distinctions, but also the dignity of the human person, because human dignity is predicated on humanity, not on culture. Culture changes from time to time. You know, if you and I went back to the respective villages of our ancestors in Italy, we would be in culture shock, because even the Italian culture, as it transferred to the United States, changed. It became an American Catholic culture, American Italian culture. And so I think this is, we're playing a very dangerous game here, this multiculturalism that's mandating things to be broken down on the basis of class and race. And this promotes a balkanization of our nation.
You know, is it more economic, though, Captain? One of the things I've raised with economists on this show is that, you know, in an economic vacuum where a lot of jobs are wanting and the jobs that are there aren't that great, this is what happens. And it has nothing to do with this whole Judeo-Christian argument. What do you say?
Well, I disagree, because as a society shares many, many things. And when you come in and look at all of the past migrations into the United States, whether it be the Germans, the Dutch, the Spanish, Brits, it doesn't matter. Most of them came from Christian countries. So when you look at that, and then you look at the transition of coming from that country to the United States, the one thing that you share with your new country is your core belief system, and you draw your strength and your willingness to endure from that belief system. So that's one thing that doesn't change. However, when you come from a country in the Middle East that is predominantly a Muslim country, you have the total thing that you have to overcome, which is not only this new and foreign culture, but the belief system that is antithetical to how you were raised.
You know, Father, could it be something more basic going on here? I think you and I have chatted about this in the past, but we know church attendance is down, religious worship at any established institution is down, and this is endemic across the board, no matter the religion, and no matter the country. And whether you want to say it's increasingly a godless world, it seems to be increasingly more of a secular world. What's going on?
Well, I think that's true. You remarked a moment ago about the economic framework in which we exist and being responsible for. But let's remember that the economic framework of the United States, heretofore, till the last perhaps 15, 20 years was largely an ethic built on the Judeo-Christian values, the view of the human person, the right to property, the right to trade, a sense of tolerance even where there was disagreement. I know that from having grown up in Brooklyn in the 1950s. You couldn't have had more diversity that was not mandated by any state apparatus, and yet there was a common core that was just spoken about that joined us together, an ethos that bound us together in a common cause, a common culture. And I think that's what we need to re-promote. And the fact that the churches are failing in that is the result, I would insist, on a certain cowardice with regard to our own ethical system. We've lost confidence in our civilization. And when that happens, the game's up.
Well put, Father. Well put, Captain. Thank you both.